Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this session, we are going to start creating our first key pair. We're going to generate an address and we are going to request funds from the faucet so that we can actually start creating some transactions and do some more fun stuff using the CLI and our node. So this time I'm back running my preview node over here, and I am going to create some stuff here in my preview directory. And the first thing that we want to create is our first key pair, and we're going to use the CLI for that, the Cardano CLI. But before we dive right into it, let me just visit very quickly this Cardano Improvement Proposal 19. This is a very important article because it basically explains how Cardano addresses work. And right now we are interested in the Shelly addresses. There are several types of Shelly addresses. The ones that we are going to create are just payment keys and payment addresses. There are other kind of addresses which are related to scripts. And when we generate our keys, this will allow us to also generate our address. And there are two types of addresses here. We can have addresses that are only attached to a payment key or are only derived from a payment key. And the other type of addresses are the ones that are not only attached or derived from linked to a payment part, but also to a stake part. So remember that in Cardano, we have a proof of stake system. And what that means is that we have two types of keys. The payment keys will allow us to have control over our funds. That will allow us to send transactions, to move our funds around. But our keys, our addresses, can also be linked to a stake key. And the stake key gives us the rights to participate in the protocol that control our stake, not our funds. So when we construct or build an address using these two parts, the payment part and the delegation part, we have a different type of address. So right now, what we are interested in is in the type 0 address here, which has a payment key hash and a delegation stake key hash. So it's a payment part and a delegation part. And also we can create a simpler payment address, which is this type 6, which is only built from a payment key hash and does not contain a delegation part. We're going to construct these two types of addresses in just a minute. So for that, let me go back to my guide over here, and we're going to start using Cardano CLI in a more complete way, in different ways. So the first thing we did before was querying the tip of the chain. This time we're going to use Cardano CLI to actually start producing some keys for us. And if you just type Cardano CLI and press enter, it will give you all the available subcommands that you have. This time I'm interested in this address command, in payment address commands. Okay, so let me just go to Cardano CLI address, and if I press enter, it will give me the next level of subcommands that I have available. In this case, I'm interested in this moment in this keygen because it creates an address key pair, and this is something like what we want to do. So let me just go again, Cardano CLI address keygen, press enter again, and it will now give me the option that this command can take. In this case, I'm going to generate a normal key pair, which is the default, So I can use normal key, or I can just omit it, and it will have the same effect, the same result. Both cases will create a normal key pair. So this is what I'm interested in. And I have these two options, the verification key file and the signing key file. So I want to generate a verification key file, and I'm going to call it, sorry, before I move forward, let me just create a keys directory so that I can store my keys over there. So now keygen, I'm going to skip the normal key, and I can say verification. I should set up autocomplete, verification key file. And now I'm going to put it in keys, and I'm going to name it payment.vkey for verification key. And now I'm going to use signing key file. Again, I'm going to put it inside keys, and I'm going to call it payment.signing key. And this will create these two files. So let me just now cat keys payment.vkey, and this is the public part, the verification part of my key pair. And this is how it looks like. So it has a type, a description, and a cipher encoded hexadecimal. Now, this can be used to actually generate a payment address from the public key pair. From the public key, we can derive an address. And for that, we have this command, Cardano-cli address build. And remember that we have Cardano-cli address, and among the options, the subcommands that we have this build command, build. So let's go there, and it takes several options, can take several options. We are not going to use all of them. We can bring the verification key as a string or read it from the file. This time we're going to read it from the file. So let me just, I will set up autocomplete in a minute, but just for payment verification key file, now we have to reference the file, which is keys payment.vkey. We don't have any stake verification key just yet. We haven't generated our keys, so we cannot use it. So we're going to skip that. It is not a mainnet, but instead a testnet address. So we can use testnet magic 2, as we have said before. Preview uses testnet magic 2, and we are going to produce a file. And this file, I'm going to store it in keys, and I'm going to call it payment.addr for address. And there you go. So now I can cat keys payment.address, and this is my address. And this address in particular, because it is not associated to any delegation part, to any stake key, this one should be a type 6 address, where it's only derived or constructed from a payment part. And we can actually use another nice tool, which is Cardano address, which I should have already installed. Let me just check. Double S over here. There you go. So yes, I already have it installed, but you have here the link where you can get the binaries for it. So you have this Cardano address 312. This is the latest version. And for doing that, let me just do it. You could just copy link address and use, let me just get back here, cd source, and you could wget Cardano address less. So there it is. And so now you do something like this to uncompress it, and it will create this bin, cd bin. And we have now Cardano address. If you do Cardano, is that correct? Ah, no, it's a directory. It looks like. What? Okay, yes. We need to give it executable permissions, I guess. Yeah, chmod +x Cardano address. Let me just make it correctly here. It is like this. Last. There you go. So now I can copy Cardano address to something like .localbean, something like what we have done before to put it in the pad. I had it already, so this is just for showing you how you can do that. And now get back to what we were doing. So let me just get into keys. So this is what we have. And I'm going to use Cardano address to actually inspect this payment address so that I can make sure that it is the kind of address that I am willing to create, which is a type 6 address. Okay, so now we can use this beautiful command. So we can use read payment address, and we're going to pipe that to Cardano address inspect. Now, before I do that, let's just me show you Cardano address. Let's just help. And it, again, outputs all the options that you have at your disposal. In this time, I have Cardano address, and we are going to use inspect to show information about an address. This is the one thing that we want to do right now. So for that, again, I do Cardano address, sorry, not that, but okay, I need to cat payment.addr and pipe it to Cardano address. So this pipe here will do, what it will do is just pass the output of this command to the next command, which is address inspect. And there it is. We have that this address have this spending key hash in big32, and this is an address type 6, and this is a Shelly address. So it matches what we know from here, that an address, a Shelly address type 6, is one that is built only from a payment key hash. So this is exactly what we wanted. So it looks good. So from here, we can use this address to actually request some funds from the faucet. So let me just grab it and copy it here. And for the faucet, we can go to docs.cardano.org, Cardano Testnet Tools Faucet. And this is a beautiful faucet because it not only distributes funds for testing like this one that we're going to use, but it also can create delegation for stake pools that are running on these testnets. We will later use this delegation feature here. But for now, we are going to just request some funds from the faucet. We say it is preview testnet. We have also pre-production testnet. We're going to use preview. Give the address that we just built. We don't need API key for now. And we are not robots. And request funds. And it says, success, your transaction has been successful and test funds have been sent to our address. Please verify the following transaction hash. Nice. So that means that we should have funds already in our address. How can we verify that? Well, we have another CLI command, which is very useful, Cardano-cli, query. And this time what we want to query is the UTXO. Of course, if you just do Cardano-cli query and you press enter, you can get the help. And you have this command here, which is UTXO, and this is the one that we're going to use because it gets a portion of the current UTXO by transaction index, by address, or by the whole UTXO. Of course, because we know the address, we prefer to use a simpler way. The most optimal way is using transaction index, which we already have here, and querying the entire UTXO, the whole UTXO set, would be very expensive. And of course, it is nice in some scenarios where you have a local cluster or something like that, but definitely not recommended at all in something like mainnet, for example, because it will be just too expensive to run in terms of resources for your system. So query UTXO, we have -- address. Let me just query this and see the options that we have. So we're going to query the address and we're going to use the testnet magic. An out file is optional, so probably we don't need it. -- address. And what address are we going to use? Well, the address that we produced, which is this one. And it is testnet magic 2. Oh, I have to create my socket again because I had not done this because it is right now, the socket is pointing to the mainnet one that I created in the previous video. So let me just get back here and export my socket path here. And now I can query the balance of my address. And as you can see, I have received 10,000 ADA or test ADA in my address from the faucet. So nice. We have received some funds, and with some funds, we can, of course, start doing more stuff. What is the kind of thing that we want to do right now? Well, what about generating a different type of address? Let me just get back to this Cardano Improvement Proposal 19. Let me just now create a type 0 address, one that is built from a payment part and from a stake part, a delegation part. And for that, of course, we first need to generate a stake key pair. And for that, we have Cardano-cli. And similar to the address subcommand, we have this stake address subcommand. And again, similarly, we have the key gen, and it will also produce a couple of outputs, which will be the verification key file and the signing key file. So this time I am inside keys, so it will be simple to just verification key file. It will be stake.vkey and -- signing key file, and this time I'm going to create a stake.skey for signing. And I can cat stake.vkey, and this is how it looks like. It has the type of a stake verification key, Shelly F25519, stake verification key, and this is the CyberX. So nice. With that, we can now use our build command again, our address build command, to actually generate a new type of address. This new type of address will be an type 0 address. So let's do that. So let me just let me clear the screen so that I am not at the bottom. And now we have Cardano-cli address build. And remember that we have some options here. This time we're going to use the payment verification key file, but also the stake verification key file that we produced a minute ago. And we're going to build an address that is built from these two parts. And that will give us a type 0 address. So let's do that. Payment verification key file. And we're going to read payment.vkey and stake verification key file, stake.vkey, and finally we're going to specify the testnet magic 2 and out file, let's say payment with the stake.addr, something like that. And if we do cat payment with the stake, now we have a longer address, because this time this address is derived from these two parts. And we can also use Cardano, let me just clear, Cardano address to inspect this address now. So we did Cardano address inspect. And there you go. This address is now a type 0 address, and it's built from a from a payment key part and from a stake part. So this address is built from these two. So this address is actually capable of being considered when my key is delegated, when my address, when my wallet, when my funds are delegated. The funds in this address will be associated to my stake key. Therefore, any funds that are living in this address will be taken into account. Not so the other address where funds will not be considered, because that address is not built from the stake key as well. So now, what can we do from here? Let us just send some funds from payment address to payment with a stake. And for that, we need to create a simple transaction, and that will be part of the next video. So see you there, and we will create our first transaction. Thank you very much.